Anam's story, The Mysterious Bag. This story was shared with us by our sister Anam Ijaz. She says, this incident happened around 14 years ago when I was still unmarried and living in my own house. My elder sister was married and living nearby, so I would often bring her child, my nephew, to my home for a visit. After spending a few hours with him, I would drop him back at her house. Anam continues, one evening, I brought my nephew to my house as usual. Later, when it was time to return him, it was already Maghrib time. My sister advised me to stay for the night since it was getting dark, but I didn't listen. I was in a hurry to get back home. The bag on the road. On her way back home, Anam came across something unusual. As I was walking back, I noticed something lying on the road. It was a bag containing food, neatly packed and in perfect condition. Anyone could tell that someone must have dropped it accidentally. Anam hesitated at first, but decided to do a good deed. And I thought to myself, this is someone's livelihood, and if a car runs over it or someone kicks it aside, it would be disrespectful. So with the intention of earning a reward, I picked up the bag and moved it to a safer spot on the side of the road. With that small act of kindness done, she continued her journey home, unaware of the ominous turn her night was about to take. A sudden illness. When I got home, I started feeling a little unwell. My mother noticed it too and gave me some medicine thinking it was nothing serious, but my condition began to deteriorate quickly. Anna recalls how her health went from bad to worse in a matter of hours. I became so ill that I couldn't even get out of bed. My body felt weak and I started experiencing strange symptoms that no one could explain. Her mother, worried and frightened, stayed by her side, but things only got worse. She would sit next to me, crying and talking to herself, not knowing what to do. I could see the fear in her eyes. She was terrified by what was happening to me. Seeking help. Anam's condition worsened to the point where her family decided to seek medical and spiritual help. We tried various treatments, doctors, prayers, and even spiritual healers, but none of them could figure out what was wrong with me. One of the spiritual healers they consulted finally gave a chilling explanation. He told my mother, "This isn't a normal illness. There's something sinister at work here." Anam was shocked to hear this. It was terrifying to hear those words. He said that whatever happened to me was connected to the bag I picked up that evening. He claimed that the bag was cursed. The curse of the bag. The healer explained that the food in the bag wasn't ordinary. It had been used for black magic rituals. He told us that someone had performed a ritual and left the bag on the road hoping someone would pick it up and take the curse home with them. And that's exactly what I had done. Anam's health continued to worsen. I had terrible nightmares and strange things started happening in our house. Objects moved on their own, doors would slam shut without warning, and I would hear whispers in the middle of the night. Her family was now convinced that something evil had followed her home, breaking the curse. After several attempts to find a solution, they finally found a spiritual healer who knew how to break the curse. He performed special prayers and told us to get rid of the cursed bag. He also gave my mother some instructions to protect our home. Anam says, after the ritual, my health started improving slowly. It took several weeks, but eventually I recovered. However, the experience left her shaken. To this day, I can't forget what happened. That bag looked so ordinary, just a bag of food on the road, but it nearly ruined my life. A lesson to remember. Anand concludes her story with a warning. Sometimes things we see on the road or in unexpected places aren't what they seem. It's best to be cautious and think twice before picking something up, even if it seems like a harmless good deed. She adds, what happened to me was a frightening experience. I still don't know who left that bag or why they performed those rituals. But one thing is certain, I'll never forget that night. The Cursed Bag, Anam's Haunting Tale. This story was shared with us by Sister Anam Ijaz, who experienced something so terrifying that it changed her life forever. The incident took place around 14 years ago, when she was unmarried and living with her parents. One evening, Anam was returning home after dropping her nephew off at her sister's house. The sky was darkening and the call to Maghrib prayers echoed through the air. Despite her sister's request to stay over, Anam insisted on going home. On her way back, she noticed a small bag lying on the roadside. It appeared neat and untouched, as though someone had accidentally dropped it. I thought it was someone's food, and I didn't want it to get kicked around or disrespected, Anam recalls. With the intention of doing a good deed, she picked it up and placed it safely to the side. Little did she know, this act of kindness would bring unimaginable horrors into her life. A sudden illness. After reaching home, Anam felt strangely unwell. At first, it seemed like a minor illness, but her condition quickly worsened. I became so weak that I couldn't even get out of bed. My body felt heavy, and I was overcome with fear and dread. Something was terribly wrong. Her mother noticed the change and grew worried. She sat by Anam's side, offering comfort and medicine, but nothing seemed to help. I could see the fear in my mother's eyes. She kept praying and crying, not knowing what else to do. Soon, it became clear that this wasn't a normal illness, seeking spiritual help. As Anam's condition worsened, her family sought help from a spiritual healer. The healer, upon seeing Anam, immediately sensed that black magic was involved. He told my parents that someone had performed a ritual and left the curse bag on the road, hoping someone would pick it up. That someone was me. The healer explained that the curse had taken hold of her the moment she touched the bag. The effects were devastating and would have been fatal if they hadn't sought help in time. A dark presence. The healer revealed that the curse wasn't just a simple spell. It involved jinn. He warned Anam's family that jinnat had been attached to the bag and were now following her home. He told us that these jinn are dangerous, they don't leave easily, and their presence can destroy a person's life, Anam says. The healer began a series of intense spiritual treatments, reciting prayers and performing rituals to break the curse. It wasn't an easy process. It took weeks of treatment before I finally began to recover. During that time, I had terrifying nightmares and heard strange voices at night. Sometimes I would wake up in the middle of the night and feel like someone was standing over me. The turning point. The healer eventually managed to drive away the jinn and remove the curse. Anam's health improved, but the experience left her deeply scarred. Alhamdulillah, I'm fine now. I'm married and have a beautiful daughter, but I will never forget what happened to me. Anam now shares a valuable lesson with her daughter. I always tell my daughter to never pick up anything from the roadside. Even if it looks harmless, you never know what evil might be attached to it. A message to everyone. Anam ends her story with a warning to all of us. Whenever you leave the house, always recite your prayers and ask for Allah's protection. If you see something unusual on the road, never touch it. Let an elder know instead. She adds, there are many such cases of people being harmed by cursed objects. Protect yourself by staying connected to your faith, perform prayers regularly, and always strive to remain in a state of purity. Final words. If you found this story impactful, please share it with others. Let it serve as a reminder to always be cautious and protect yourself with faith. May Allah protect us all from evil until we meet again in the next episode of Let's Talk About This. As always, for Christine, for the dragon, and for me, who just wanted to buy a ski.